Day before Halloween. Which teams are a trick, which are a treat? We'll let you know right now on Good Morning Football. We're live in New York City. The trade deadline came and went, and we are a day away from hopefully dressing up in some cool costumes. What are you guys in?
Should we?
We have every year, haven't we?
We have.
What were you last year?
Last year we were in London. A couple of years ago, I was Tim Riggins for Friday Night Lights.
Yes.
You were
Becky
the Icebox. Peter was
Coach Bud Kilmer.
And Burleson,
Willie Beeman.
Willie Steeman Beeman.
Yes.
I love it.
If you have any ideas for us, hit us up at GMFB. It's time for the
Lead block.
Nice, Kay.
Yes, the trade deadline came and passed, as I said yesterday. Big talk was Jamal Williams to the Cowboys. In the end, it was no deal, and truly no big stars moved yesterday. So for the most part, the team rosters are set. Where does everybody stand? Let's take a look right now at the AFC playoff picture.
Oh, already? Playoff picture. I love it.
We're halfway through. Other people are doing it, Trey.
Let's get in. I love that,
right, Colin?
I love it.
These are the playoff teams.
If certain feeling I get.
Ended today. This is who would be in, who would be out. Are these the 6 teams? Are these going to be the teams?
No, I don't think so. Look, I've said from the get-go, in the end of December, our minds are going to be blown by an AFC team that gets in. It's someone that we're not going to expect. If I'm going to throw a team out there, you want a team? I'm fascinated by a team that's about to play its first home game in 7 weeks. The Raiders. I like the Raiders right now. You know, I had this whole thing about, John Gruden was saying this week, I'm actually going to have dinner with my wife on Friday night. I kind of miss her. It's been over 40 days since they've been home. London and on the road and everything. In the meantime, when I look about the Raiders, look at it in the March Madness perspective. They got a couple nice wins for their RPI.
Right.
They beat this Colts team that we think has an MVP, and they beat the Colts team. They beat the Bears in London when the Bears had their act together, and they just barely threw it away against the Texans. If we're going to bring out the playoff scenarios, we're going to do hashtag check the schedule. The rest of the Raiders' schedule has one team currently in the playoff mix, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs, so that we don't know the future of their quarterback. I kind of like what Gruden has going. I like what Tyrell Williams has going, and I like the schedule. One team's going to blow our minds. I think it might be silver and black.
All right, I have a team that's been blowing our minds since the very start of the season.
Who you got?
How about the Baltimore Ravens? Right out the gate, they put up over 50 points in that first game. Granted, it was versus the Dolphins, but it was so impressive because Lamar Jackson did what we didn't think he could do. He was out there lighting up the skies, and then they win another game. But what's so odd about this team is they have losses in the middle of the season. They lost to the Browns. And looking back on their schedule, it's like, do you guys remember when the Ravens lost to the Browns and the Browns put a 40 on those guys? But we haven't seen them in a couple weeks because they're coming off a bye. We forget, in this game, they beat the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle, of all places. This was probably the most impressive of all their wins. But what's going to happen over the next 6 weeks is going to be very telling. This is who they have. The Patriots, the Bengals, Texans, Rams, 49ers, and Bills. How about that for a true gauntlet? And
What's your Spidey sense say about the Patriots?
This weekend,
Just right now, what's the Spidey sense?
Well, listen, this weekend is telling me that the Patriots are going to bottle up Lamar Jackson.
You think?
We talked about this the last couple of days. What do they do best? They take away your biggest strength. Their biggest strength is Lamar Jackson's legs.
I agree.
So I feel like it's going to be a struggle for Lamar Jackson to get open. Now, here's the thing. He's going to have a splash player, too. If he does it early rather than later, they'll have a chance to win this game. But when it comes to the duration of the season, the reason I wanted to point out them games is because, I got to be honest, I don't know what this offense is. In the beginning of the season, I was proud. I was like, over the summer, I said, he can pass the ball, and he did. And then they started to struggle when teams said, okay, Lamar, if you really can pass, let's make sure you can't run and you have to use your arm. And he's won some games, but they've been ugly games from a production standpoint statistically. So moving forward, I care less about who they face. I just want to know what this offense is. Are you a passing team? Are you a running team?
Remember Hollywood?
Do you see
Are you a hybrid?
Do you see a world with the rest of the schedule, them sitting there at 5-2? Would they lose to the Chiefs, too? They lost to the Chiefs and the Browns back-to-back weeks. Do you see them working themselves out of the playoff picture?
No, I don't. They're too talented.
They're one of the 6.
I think what's most important is them finding their identity before they get into the playoffs. Because teams that don't have an identity get bounced early.
I'm going to push back on you because they're home. They're on Sunday night. They're coming off a bye. There is going to be as much preparation as possible for the Patriots. What's a victory for them, for you? Like, what do you need to see from them? Is it a clear-out win, or if they hang tight with the Patriots, is that enough for you to say, okay, they're a team that's going to be contending come January?
Every player will think what I'm about to say is disrespectful, but it's make it a close game. Patriots are that good where I don't expect the Baltimore Ravens to win. And maybe they can use this as billboard material and they can put it up around the facility. I just feel like when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson is going to be the biggest piece to their puzzle as far as who they are and what they're going to be.
But you think they're a playoff team, even
I
though
do.
you don't know what their offense is.
I do believe they're a playoff team. I just don't know who
The
they
division is terrible, right?
Are these the 6?
They are the 6 for now, and of course, there's a lot of malleability. The teams I care about are the ones playing in January, and I am most fascinated by the Kansas City Chiefs right now. You're without Mahomes. You've lost now 3 straight games at home. The Vikings are coming to your building this weekend. Mahomes might go. He's going to fight for it, but if he doesn't, Matt Moore's in there. 5-4 team going into Week 9 is a lot different than a 6-3 team, and then. You say, okay, but that division and the Raiders.
Yeah,
might
are the
not be
Chargers
there,
beating the Packers?
That's all good, but come January, is Mahomes gonna beat Brady? Like that was the expectation before the year, and if he misses all these games, does that hurt them in a way that they can't get out of their own way and they've got to play 2 road games?
Yes.
To me,
They were at home last year in the playoffs.
they were home at Arrowhead with the Patriots. You can't fall behind too much with the Patriots. And forget the Patriots. Like I don't know if Mahomes and that team, healthy or not, can go on the road and win in Baltimore. I'm not sure if they're going to go into the road and win in Houston. Like
In Indy.
Yeah.
they've lost 3 games at home already. If they play the Vikings and lose this weekend, that's 4 losses in Arrowhead with a very difficult schedule in the second half of the season. The Chiefs to me are fascinating because as much as we want to talk about everyone else, we know that at full strength, they are going to be the Patriots' best challenge. And yet, they might have a far bumpier road to get there than any of us expected. And it's not just because of the injury. They lost 2 games with Patrick Mahomes at home. Like, don't forget, they lost those games.
I think these are the 6 teams. These we're looking at.
Set?
I think it's set. I don't think the order is set. I think the order gets messed up a little.
Right.
But it's one of those things like when you're talking with a group of friends or your boyfriend or husband or wife and you're like, oh, what would we do if we won $5 million?
yeah.
What would we
Do it all the
do
time.
if we won the jackpot? And you start arguing about it like, no, you're an idiot. Take it. Take all the money. No, wait, get it yearly, annually, whatever. You're arguing over nothing. It's never going to happen. So do you guys have the feeling in 2019 that we're doing that with this AFC playoff picture? Because the Chiefs look vulnerable and they're the best bet to take out the Patriots. Is this...
I'll say
Is
this,
this like a dumb, pointless conversation? Because the Patriots really are that good. Because people are hating on the Patriots, their schedule, the weakness of it, all of that, their offense, the questions. Does this feel like a pointless conversation?
No, I feel like it's a much-needed conversation, even though as a player I hated having it. Midway through the season, don't talk to me about the playoffs. I'm just trying to get through the year. But I think what's most important about this, these teams are good and they'll probably be in it. Where do we stand on the Bills? Because we're sitting there talking about these playoff teams, and a few weeks ago it was, man, Josh Allen, this offense, and they could run, and that defense is really showing to punch you in the mouth. And all of a sudden, they got punched in
Okay,
the
makes a
mouth.
good point.
Not
Are the
beating
Bills
New
going to beat New
England.
England?
That's what I'm asking you guys.
No,
I'm asking you guys.
they're not.
Because we were
Colts,
as a
no.
table
No.
high on the
Ravens,
Bills.
I think it speaks to something bigger too. Like, you look at some of these teams, the Ravens, the Bills. Like, if you put them in the NFC, like I think they might get worked. I think the NFC is way better. You look at the Ravens. Look who's in their division. It's handed to them. And I think Exhibit A was Buffalo Bills cruising. We're going to win 11 games, 12 games. They play a middling NFC team in the Eagles and just got absolutely smashed.
There's only
The
one
AFC
coach.
is wild.
There's only one coach that I think could have great success against Belichick in a playoff game, and only
John
one
Harbaugh.
coach.
Harbaugh.
Frank Reich.
John Harbaugh.
Frank Reich.
He
You
nailed it.
think the Colts got a
Why?
little something for
Why do you
that?
think
Frank Reich.
I think Frank Reich has a way to rise for these games, and when he was the offensive coordinator in Philly, they looked Belichick right in the eyes in the same team and said, we can go and just play completely recklessly, but to the way that we're playing aggressively.
Brady's going to drop that pass, and we're going to go.
Not to
for the
mention
special.
Jacoby Brissett playing at a high
I
level.
feel like the Colts are like this sleeping giant, and yet historically, no team has won more games against one other worthy opponent than what the Patriots have done to the Colts franchise. Time and time again, the Patriots destroy the Colts. But I think that coach, Frank Reich, there's something special there. I think that might be that wild card type team, division winner or wild card, that can give the Patriots a run. But
Don't
Kay,
count him out.
That's what I'm saying.
Frank
You
Reich.
can't, don't ever count out the Colts, ever. Frank Reich. But, Peter, you were on it yesterday. John Harbaugh's got skins on the wall against Harbaugh. He's done it before with inferior, talented
It feels
quarterbacks.
right now like we're doing some heavy lifting. It
does.
Okay.
The Patriots need to bleed a little bit the rest of the season. Maybe we see that Sunday night against the Ravens.
When I hear don't count him out, what about Nick Foles returning? I know we had Gardner Minshew on the show. We've seen him go on a magical run.
It's great.
What if the Chargers beat the Packers,
do it.
Striggs? Then they're 4 and come on.
possible.
Right,
It's
let's
not
get to
done.
it.
That
Just
was
saying,
I'm not
man.
saying they're done. I'm just
Don't
saying
count
it
out
all
Nick
seems-
Foles, bro.
I think
We're
Calais
gonna
Campbell
do
needs
the
to make a
NFC
shrine to him in his
yeah.
locker. That's what they do.
The NFC playoff picture is just so different than what's going on in the
Higher
AFC
stakes, it
because
feels
of
like.
what
Higher
the
stakes and wide
Patriots
open.
Yeah.
Are dealing with.